Hi, I'm Brian with 3M, and today we're going to talk about 3M Cubitron II Fibre Discs, and we're going to get into a couple things. We're going to talk about precision shaped grain, which is the technology behind Cubitron II. We're going to talk about how it works, and then specifically we're going to talk about how you evaluate fiber disc for fiber disc. So, evaluating Cubitron II over maybe something that you guys are using today in your shop. First, I want to tell you guys a little bit about why 3M Cubitron II Fibre Disc works so well. So as opposed to traditional abrasives that, it's more or less a crushed rock on a backing of some sort. Those types of abrasives just dig and plow through the metal, which generates a lot of heat. It goes very slow. When you have precision shaped grain, which is the technology in Cubitron II, it tends to slice through that metal very easily, cuts faster, it lasts a lot longer, and it runs a lot smoother and a lot cooler for your operators. So now that you know a little bit more about how precision shaped grain and 3M Cubitron II Fibre Disc work, I want to talk a little bit about the system and the setup of your tool and your backup pad before we get started evaluating these abrasives. So 3M makes a variety of backup pads, and this is something that's overlooked a lot, right? So as you can see, there's a big difference between this backup pad here and this backup pad, right? And obviously we have the black one in the middle, which is in between these two. Now, backup pad and tool can make a big impact on the performance of your abrasive. So when we're speaking about backup pad with this type of abrasive, you want a very stiff, hard backup pad. This mineral is very tough and it needs to break down. So the harder the backup pad, the better. Now, another thing about our backup pads is you can see we have these ribs here. And what that does is it helps create pressure. It helps to break the mineral down, keep it self-sharpening, keep it cutting longer. Another thing that people often overlook is the tool itself. You want a very high-powered tool to run these abrasives. The way to think of it is that you could buy the world's greatest guitar. If you don't have the amplifier to run it through, it's not going to sound very good. These two things are the amplifier for this abrasive. So now that you know a little bit more about the setup, let's get ready to run and evaluate some abrasives here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to lay down about 12 to 24 inches of weld. If you happen to have a repeatable process on your manufacturing site, that would work as well. Something that will be consistent, something that you can time and compare one abrasive over the other. Now, one thing I want to point out here is that we have two different discs here, 982C fiber disc and 987. So if you're running on mild steel, you're going to want to use 982C, and then if you're running on stainless steel, you're going to want to run 987. Okay, let's grab some metal that we can demo on here. So as I was telling you guys before, we want about 12 to 24 inches of weld, which I have right here laid out. And then also I'm going to grab just a hunk of some scrap metal that we can use also. Okay, so how we're going to want to perform this demo. So ultimately we're going to want to separate this by, you can see it here, I have it laid out in inches, and you're going to want to divide this evenly, right? So ultimately you're going to get a stopwatch, you're going to run one product, so today we have 982C, run that on half of it, and you're going to time the amount of time it takes to take that weld off. Stop the demo there, record your time, then we're going to swap it out for another product, so potentially the product that you guys are using today. Run the same test on the second half of the substrate. Now, one thing I want to talk about too, if you don't have welds or a repeatable weld, you can also grab a hunk of metal, scrap, whatever you guys want to do. And you can run a bevel test on this, similar to the way that we just performed this test, time one disc for the other. Now you can also test end of life on this as well. Now, I must warn you, on this test, you're going to be here a really long time because this stuff lasts forever. So, but ultimately, you're just going to create a bevel on here. A nice metric that you can use when you're doing this as well is if you happen to have a scale handy, weigh the piece before, weigh it afterward, and when you do that, you'll get a good comparison about how much material this disc is removing versus this disc, as well as the speed. Okay, so now that we have our substrate, we have about 12 inches of weld laid out here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our 982C Cubitron II Fibre Disc. We're gonna grind half of it and we're gonna time ourselves doing that. Then we're gonna take a traditional fiber disc with just crushed abrasive on there, and we're gonna time ourselves doing the second half. So when you do this, again, about 12 to 24 inches should give you a good understanding of how much faster this product will last. So before we start grinding, we need our PPE. So glasses, a respirator, I got my gloves on, and our earplugs. Okay, so now we've finished our test. We've ground our weld completely down. As you can see, 982C ground the weld down nearly twice as fast as our traditional abrasive. So a minute 5 coming in with 982C fiber discs versus a minute 54 with traditional abrasives. So one thing to point out here too is that if you're anything like me, you hate doing math, on our website we have a value analysis calculator. You can take information from your production, drop it in there, and it'll show you how much money you can save on a yearly, daily basis by switching to something like Cubitron 2. So now that we're finished and we're completely done and we've identified exactly how much money you're gonna save by switching to something like 982C, I wanted to point out that 3M has a wide range of abrasives, all the way from very heavy duty grinding, all the way down to very, very fine finishing. So, and we know that every shop is unique, and 3M's got you covered. So now if you want to buy 982C, you can go to your industrial distributor that you already currently buy from, or if you don't have an industrial distributor that sells you 3M, go to 3m.com/buyabrasives and we'll take care of you from there.